NFJC, no secrets, just truth, Jezreel, Emil, Kavan. You will reach your destiny. You will reach the end of the dream that you live like a king and a queen. I say to you, be not afraid, for you are special indeed. The children of destiny, the outcasts of society, for the truth of reality. Generations, ancestors of past and old have given their life so that your life could matter. Now it's time to be changed. Now it's time to change. The world that you see, you are the beacon, the light, the lighthouse on the hill in the wilderness of darkness. Let your voices be heard, each one loud and proud.
My name is Jezreel Emil Kavan. I started this movement from when I was a child, going through the abuse that I was going through, feeling as if I had no voice. I took up pencil and pen and became a poet. One who would not write of his problems, but one who would fix his eye upon the greatest reward of them all, love. And although many times in my life love has eluded me, I have still remained strong as an advocate for love, and I have become strongly an advocate for truth. I started NSJT at 15 years old because I was tired of hearing lies. I was tired of listening to those promise people things and break their promises. I was a serious child. I absorbed everything in the room. I can remember my kindergarten teacher saying the ABCs while I was playing in my desk with my truck. And she looked at me and noticed that I wasn't paying attention. And she asked me what letter she was on, and I told her. It wasn't until I became an adult that I realized that I had ADHD, which allows me to focus on things that no normal person can focus on. 7 different things at the same time, and all along moving those things forward in increments. I became a chef because that was the best place for me. In the kitchen, making split-second decisions. But I also owed God. I owed God my life. He saved me when I surrendered. My burdens were heavy. My scars were visible. I was not the man I am now. I was afraid. I had spent 14 years locked up in the house, going to the school or going to the recreation center, and that's it. My interaction with other kids was shoddy at best. I wasn't one who liked to work in groups because I dominate things. It made me an A student, one who was able to take AP courses in high school. But I also was born with the soul of discernment, which as a child having ADHD and being abused and going through your own pain, is kind of hard to know that someone else's pain is strong and you can feel it tugging and pulling at your soul. My first movement was KHBF, Kids Hoping for a Better Future, where I would take the young kids out to lunch for getting good grades, and I would speak to them about ladders of opportunities, that being in the projects is not the end, being in the ghetto is not the end, it is where you decide that you want to go, and when you arrive, that is your goal completed. I was often joked because I was small, because I wore clothes that were hand-me-down or from the thrift store. My school, my high school, was the fashion capital of the world. Who's Who was named by what they had on and how brand new it was. And here I was, a kid wearing shirts and pants that was from the thrift store, who didn't have much in the way of materialistic things, who came home to a bed and a table and books. But then again, I was analytical. I would watch the children play outside. I learned some of my basic skills from them. Otherwise than that, God was the one that raised me, who gave me a moral center, who gave me the feeling that I had the ability to conquer anything that was in my way. And as the years grew on, I had came to the point where I was 16 and realized the power of my voice when I told her, no, you will not hit me again. You will not beat me again. No man is an animal. That he who did not create me cannot destroy me. It was then that I went deeper with NSJT and decided that that was going to be my motto until I died, because I wanted to be as different as I was treated. I wanted to embrace being an outcast. So I was an outcast for 14 years. Why should I let that shame control me? So I began to do my thing as an outcast. And people would come to me and tell me things that they would never tell another living soul. And I wondered why. I remember being a child being told that I would become a preacher, but I did not listen to that because I knew what I wanted to be. I wanted to be a chef. I love cooking. I used to wake up in the middle of the night making cakes and making lasagna and doing all kinds of things with food because it had become my signature. It had become my inspiration. One dish to top another. And as I entered the job field, I did the same thing. I learned as much as possible and I moved on. But I realized that those people who are closest to me in those kitchens and will tell me of their deep, dark secrets, that I was a vault. I was being called to action. That my voice had to become more powerful, more dominant. That I had to increase my ability to absorb the faith that lied within the Bible, the faith that lied within the Spirit of God, the faith that resided in something I could not see. And I struggled with NSAT being able not just to be about me telling the truth, but me being able to teach fundamental things, like how to stand on your own, how to build a network of people who would be able to be there for you when you needed them. Breaking it down so that each person in your life serves a purpose to help you build your temple, to help you build your confidence, to remind you of who you are and what you said that you wanted to be, and make sure that you got there. So I began to pull the bits and pieces of my childhood and my teenage years and my adult life and begin to mold a foundation. Never teach anything that you have never done. And it been for the fact that my mother called me a jack of all trades and a master of none, I became a jack of all trades and a master of them all. Because I was that hungry for knowledge. That the Bible was not enough. The Quran was not enough. The Torah was not enough. The I Ching was not enough. The art of war was not enough. Philosophy was not enough. Metaphysics was not enough. Etymology was not enough. There were those who feared being in a room with me and having a conversation because I would debate them on the merits of their knowledge. And before their eyes, I would expand my knowledge and begin to teach. It was then that I had two friends who would take me to Pennsylvania and New York and teach. I ended up turning one of them into a preacher himself. And he asked me, when will I enter a church and become a preacher? And I told him my call of action is the streets. My call to action is working with young men. My call of action was to teach people the ability to change their own lives that very instant, taking one step at a time, following in no one else's footsteps, but your own, that you can overcome the abuse, that you can overcome being raped and molested. You can be anything that you want to be. You can suppress all that you are, but that will not solve your problem. You must come to grips with the darkness and fight the innermost part of your mind. And I know this because I was abused, because I was molested, because I went through and I had to fight myself, and I had to come out on the other side saying that I am stronger than anything else that had touched my life. God's touch will always and forever be on my mind. I love my mother. Even as she abused me, I loved my mother. I had a bed, but I slept on the floor near my mother. My mother was my toughest critic. She was one that I debated with. She taught me the skills of being able to know what is necessary, what to make a priority, and what to let go of. She is a very brilliant woman. I had to step out of who I was and recreate who I wanted to be. I had to leave all things that I love behind and begin to love other things. For as the Lord taught me that blessings are like shopping. You keep shopping, you'll have nowhere to put anything. So you must begin to give away things, so that the ability of the Lord can continue to flow through you. You are like a pitcher, and those who come to you are like a glass. You must fill the glasses, and that where the water will come from to replenish itself in the pitcher, just know it will. I followed my father more than anything else in my life, because when the moments came and I did not know where I was going to lay my head, when I didn't know how I was going to take care of a family of 5 because of what my mother believed that she was doing to destroy me, she was vengeful. She wanted her wrath to be known, that after she kicked me out over $5, that I would be homeless on the street. She wanted me to be without. So those who accepted me into their homes was kicked out. I became more than I ever imagined I could be, taking care of 5 individuals. Then, being the youngest manager, I was 16 when I first started managing. Loving every aspect of my career. Learning that I had lupus did not deter me from the call of action to continue to move forward, because I knew that in order to make a change, I would have to make money and spend money to do what I needed to do, to open doors, to open hearts, to open minds. I'm disabled now, but that has not slowed my progress or a call to action, because I created this station because I wanted people to understand that you can inspire one to inspire many, that you have the power to move your life forward, that you don't have to be called anything, that you can define who you are, that you can provide your critics with a statement, I am who I am, and rejoice in the fact that they could not understand who you are. To look in the eyes of the doubters and pull off the impossible. They told me in 2008 to stop working. But I believed that I could do the impossible. So I told the doctors, I don't care what you do. I don't care how much medicine I'm going to have to take. But keep me active, keep me moving. Because my career was not done yet. I wasn't ready to close the book on that yet. And finally in 2011, when I almost lost my life, I knew that it was time. I did not know what I was going to do. I wasn't making money. I was sick. I couldn't go look for another job because I could barely stand up. I had tremors so bad that I couldn't eat a bowl of cereal without spilling the milk all over myself. One night I cried tears because the cereal went everywhere, and I'm sitting there soaked in milk and cereal. I was 105 pounds. When one of my best friends told me, you need to move. And the father agreed, and I agreed. I was no longer safe where I was. So I trekked clear across the country, only to find out had I not came and would have stayed in the situation I was in, that my life would have surely been over. I was facing a stroke or a heart attack. Even worse, dying in my sleep. My doctor told me in an hour I stopped breathing 177 times. The worst case she had ever seen. I'm coming to grips with the ability that I won't be able to walk without assistance, without a cane, without a walker. But I had decided for myself that I would live on my own. And that was the compromise for me, accepting that I was disabled. but it does still not prevent me from the call of action. This station is about the call of action. I used to say I was more written than I was spoken. But now I'm more spoken than I am written, because I believe that God has a destiny for me in being a voice for the voiceless, taking my own experiences that I've gone through in life, all the stories that I've been told, those who have been raped and molested at young ages, watching them grow up into the women they have become. For me, rape is a harsh word. It is impossible for my mind to conceive the worst thing a woman would ever have to go through, the worst thing a child would ever have to go through. I knew my abuse harmed my life. Although it's a story of triumph, it's also a story of pain. Anguish, anger, frustration. For those who stood and watched and called themselves Christians, called themselves saints. And we went to the church, and me and my sister trying to seek refuge, and they did nothing for us. My sister going to social services, and they did nothing for us. It only heightened the abuse. It is the reason why now, me and my sister, we are great walls that you cannot penetrate. It is the reason why we believe in the cause of action when it comes to those who are going through, who have been through, who are trying to get through. We have called on ourselves to rally up the energy and the strength to defeat the enemy before he is able to proclaim victory. It is the reason why I've been calling those who have been listening to my messages to pass them on. It is the reason why I keep recording, because I will never be done speaking for the voiceless. I will never be done being my brother's keeper. I will never be done being my sister's keeper. I believe that I was called to action from the day I was born to the day I die. My last breath will be in defense of those who deserve to go to heaven before me. I am willing to lay down my life to give back my soul to God as a ransom for truth and love. Not for me, but for those who seek to see what inspiration is. I cannot and I shall not speak for others. But I know what I've done in my life. I took a vow of celibacy for 7 years so that I could be able to understand what love from a woman was. And many of them thought sex was the answer. But they thought that because 99% of the women I have dated had been either molested or raped. So for them, talking nasty was a way to try to keep me interested. They knew nothing about politics or philosophy or religion or anything that I was into. They just knew that I was a good man, that I was comfortable to talk to, that I didn't judge them. But each time that I met one, it was a blow to me because my father was locked up for rape. I knew that at an early age, so I was so afraid that I wouldn't be a gentleman. I was so afraid that I was like my father. I was so afraid to be intimate, to let my guard down. I didn't lose my virginity till I was 18. An agreement both me and my sister had that we would take responsibility for ourselves because we will be grown and we will be able to deal with the consequences of our actions. I did this particular show because I wanted to let you know that my call of action comes from humility. It comes from those who I helped over the years, those who I continue to help now, those who I pray for every single night and every single day. I pray for my enemies. I pray for those who love me, those who hate me. I pray for the sick, the shut in. I pray for the world, waiting for the time that my testimony must be given. That I'm able to describe without pain my life, to be able to speak without tears welling up. I'm both soft and hard. When it's a job that I must do for the Lord, I am still. But when it comes to my own life, my own self, I'm fragile. My call of action changed my life. And I hope that you are not ignoring a call to action for your life. Because we need more people out there stomping the ground. We need more people out there speaking for those who have no voice. We need more people out there willing to be comforters, willing to listen to those who need help.